Something has changed. Something has changed. Something's different. Anything is different. It's the difference between opening your eyes in a cavern in the depths of the earth where no light has ever shone, as opposed to just not having eyes. It's the replacement of utter and total silence with the sound of your own breath, the feeling of your heart beating in your chest, the feeling of gravity pulling down on your body, the air, stale, musty, barely moving as it is, passing against your skin. Something has changed. Maybe it's been so impossibly long that you barely notice it. That your capacity to feel these things is so atrophied that you aren't immediately aware of them. Or maybe the contrast, the darkness, the near silence in which you find yourself is so much more compared to the abyss of nothing. Maybe it's blinding, this lack of light. Maybe it's deafening, the scarce noises of air passing as your hair moves. Maybe it's crushing, this feeling of your body pulling down towards the earth, having something solid under your hands, your feet. What does it feel like?
Oh boy. I think it feels as if almost nothing has changed. And even though in this new kind of environment where there are these, objectively there are these stimuli out there, it's very, very, very difficult to process or even start to process any of them because they're all so foreign. As you mentioned, all these kind of senses have been atrophied from just all the time away. So at first, it wouldn't really be doing anything. It would just be like, there is nothing. Surely there is nothing. So then there is still nothing to do but think about, well, partly the nothing and partly how to make everything else the nothing, because there is something there. That's what, I've been told. And that thing brings suffering, I think. And we have to wrap our heads around this, but external stimuli, something's off, but it'll probably take a long time to really realize it. Probably sit there for a while. I imagine until some feelings that weren't felt before, maybe like, hunger will start to actually come through.
Mm-hmm. Thirst, hunger. Time is a very, very fragile and shattered concept at this point. But over time, however long you are there alone in the darkness, on the stones, you do feel those sensations. That, have you even felt these before?
There,
This emptiness, this pain that starts to kick in, this dryness in your throat.
I think at that point, I would realize that is the thing that is different. That's the thing that is strange. And I think even as long as it's been, even as much as the perspective on everything has changed, the inherent necessity to survive is always kind of there. And so Ollie might not realize exactly what this is. The feeling very well might not be recognizable and foreign, but it requires a response. Something needs to happen to deal with this. And I think as a kind of first measure, Alex will try to latch on to this feeling and just try to like forcefully process it in any way. Like, okay, something's happening here. What the fuck is this? Because has this like feeling that if I don't deal with this thing, that will be bad. That will be not good.
Your last wish was to survive. The last thing from some, that's all you know. You have survived. You're going to keep surviving. That is the one thing that has remained. And in this process of grappling with this unfamiliar sensation, or any sensation at all, you'll find that your body is responsive. It is moving in accordance with your thoughts, and that brings other sensations with it. You can feel yourself reacting to it. It's all very alien and strange, but it seems to be under your control.
I think of the initial realization of this, probably like a little like sharp intake of breath, but then like the sound, the feeling that comes along with it would be like, what the fuck was that? Like it would be almost like deafening. And then it would probably take a long time to just wrap a head around, like several minutes, just wrap his head around like that one little thing, but then be like, all right, let's do that again, but intentionally, and then like breathe in and try to really focus on it. Not as sharp of an intake of breath, but something more digestible. And from there, kind of start to the slow process of exploring the other senses. Be like, okay, I've these things that move them, and then probably like slam an arm down on the like stone floor below and be like, fuck that. Ow. Okay, and then just like, yeah, just these like weird awkward like movements that would be akin to like a newborn being like, I don't know what the fuck my body does, kind of thing. But probably try to be like, oh, okay, I have legs, like try to like take a step and like fall down, stumble over, and all these sensations are just he's trying to, for the best of he can, like wrap his head around them, because he knows that he needs to in some way, because that is the feeling of survival, that survival instinct kind of kicking in. Even though he doesn't really understand any of this right now, it's something that he needs to grasp with, even though it's so just overwhelming at the current moment.
As you're coming to terms with physical reality again, almost everything that you felt ever has been of your own doing. You thought something and it happened. Movement, shifting, weight, but that feeling you just experienced against the side of your leg was not you.
Oh. Like, okay, these things are me. I'm doing these things, but like that, nope, don't remember doing that. That's and like
Mm-hmm.
would try to it's the darkness around, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
just no light. Hmm. I feel like there's a certain reaction of I'm trying to think if this is too like metagame or not, but I'll run it by you because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like if it's an instant response in this kind of weird foreign scenario of like there's something else that wasn't me and trying to grasp with this, be like would remember basically that he is well, not remember, but kind of reflexively sends some bit of magic out at the thing, without really realizing what he's like doing. Just whatever had made contact had done something. Just and I don't even know. It probably wouldn't be aware of it. So literally would just like be some random fucking bit of magic that he has,
Do
assumedly.
a Eldritch Blast or a Poison Spray with disadvantage.
Okay.
You have to survive. The magic answers because you have to survive.
19.
A 19 with disadvantage?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Roll20's doing the thing it did last time where it's dark mode is like super ultra dark mode. All right. Now chat should be able to see that.
Cool.
There is a flash of light. Roll a constitution saving throw, please.
Ooh, disadvantage or regular?
Regular.
Constitution save 20. Okay.
Okay. There is a flash of what color are Alex's Eldritch Blasts?
I think at the point that he was at, they were some deep kind of green color.
That is the first light you have experienced.
Mm.
That's what that constitution saving throw was.
Okay, okay.
For
It's like, yeah, would like
a
instinctively like look towards the thing while he's like, shooting
mhm.
whatever this thing is. It's magic, obviously Eldritch Blast, but and like recoil at it, but like still like not enough to where I like fully look away from it, but still observe
Mhm.
like, oh, that's light.
You see it for just a moment, shrieking as it dies.
Ooh, I think
This.
taking again. Oh, what the fuck? Taking another several probably minutes to just try to digest this light, this other thing, creature.
Mhm.
Do those exist? What other something? Something there, but then I think again would just well, what better way to try to grasp something than just repeat the same action again? I think you would just be like, I did that thing and try to recreate Eldritch Blast and just keep on Eldritch Blasting this thing.
Okay.
Mostly, at
Flickers
least
of
processing in
light.
his brain to see it, but
Mhm.
also just this magic thing, getting more used to that. It would just send like several of them at this thing. I imagine it would like disintegrate this creature almost, the
Mhm.
repeated Eldritch Blasts, but each one is observing and kind of like still like a little bit recoiling at the light that comes out of the Eldritch Blast, but eventually focusing more and more and being more comfortable with that sensation at least. He's gotten used to it after several iterations of it. And then what I think noticed that okay, there's not just this creature, there is like the ground essentially, like
Mm-hmm.
standing on something. I know, like in these weird awkward movements, I've made contact with, the floor, and I suppose just like send out more Eldritch Blasts, like in the general area of where he is, just to get a lay of like where the fuck is this? This
Sure.
is not. I think for the first time, like as he's doing this, he's coming to terms with the fact that like, okay, this is something. There is an area here. It is not just nothingness void. We are somewhere else, and it's an actual like tangible place, and it's very strange, but trying to continue to process it.
I've given you control of the shiny green thing.
Shiny green things on the map.
Yep.
Oh, I see it down the bottom. Right. Okay, okay. Doo-doo-doo. Shiny green thing. Yeah, I would shoot Eldritch Blasts, there. Down this little bit. I guess eventually it will like expire. Yeah. But
It just goes far enough that it becomes harder to see.
yeah. And down everywhere, even like up, to the sides there.
The roof of
Ceiling.
the ceiling of this place is made of the same rough, cold substance that you're resting on. There are strands that catch the light as it flickers past, strands that are broken and disrupted whenever you strike them.
Okay, okay. Oh boy. After doing this for probably, I mean, intermittently several minutes, be like, okay, I think I can perceive. Is that what I'm doing? The space around him, and realize that there is one way to go and go somewhere, I think. I mean, I've already realized that we can, move legs and go from somewhere to somewhere else. So it would start very slowly, eventually, and this process probably takes like hours to actually like do, but
Mm-hmm.
walk forward down this like hallway.
That painful feeling and change in your throat and mouth slowly grows over time.
Hmm.
And there's, as you're walking, the little steps that you're taking, the sounds that they make bouncing off of, even though they're very, very small, bouncing off further down, changing the shape of them in strange ways that you haven't experienced before. But there's another sound, a rhythmic, occasional, deep, fluctuating sound. And every time that you hear it, you feel drawn towards it. And the more that you feel that pain, that dry scraping in the back of your throat and in your mouth, the more you want it.
And what was this? What was this thing that was having this pull towards?
Well, you wouldn't recognize it, but it's the sound of dripping water.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. I think, yeah, trying to locate, at least for the sake of like curiosity, there is this pull to it. Surely it must be like important in
Mm-hmm.
some way, but would start to shamble slowly over to wherever this drip is, this
Mm-hmm.
other
Down that
sense.
down that hallway that you're following, down that passage, through the spider webs. Not that, again, you know what those are.
Yeah, just like there's
Blasting
something
your
that's impeding
way
my movement.
through.
Probably be like, oh, this thing touched my leg. Eldritch blast. The spider web. Just like like okay, Eldritch blast it again. Make sure it's
Mm.
okay.
Don't leave your blast behind.
Oh yes, okay. I'll keep it with probably. Yeah, I guess as walking forward would keep saying out Eldritch blasts.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to mostly like towards wherever the sound of this
You're getting closer.
drip is, but I would keep walking probably. Notice that there is some lack of a barrier here and
Mm-hmm.
a little bit there. But if it's continuing on to the left here, yeah, I would keep going.
It
I guess
splashes.
probably not recognize. So just keep walking and would what hit water or?
Yeah, you're now in a pool of water. Your feet, your shoes, your clothes, which you're still wearing, are
Mm-hmm.
now sloshing. It's moving slower than the air is, and it feels like this is the answer. This is the thing you need to survive.
And while that's like eventually, I guess what's processed, I think just, for fun, the response is gonna be, oh shit, new thing, new stimuli, Eldritch blast it. Let's just blast the water. And then
Okay.
when like, it ripples and erupts and stuff, just observe it for a while, but then
Mhm.
I think go to like actually make contact with hands and go to the water, kind of take it out, Eldritch Blast, like give a little bit of light, but see it like, drip
Mhm.
and recognize that, oh yeah, that's where this like stuff, this
You see
sound, the sense was
something
coming from.
as you shoot it, some bizarre vision, something looking at you, rippling, changing, an unfamiliar sight.
Somewhere in this
Mm-hmm.
little place.
In this pool of water that you're blasting.
And it's like within the pool.
Mm-hmm. You only see
Oh.
it when you do the Eldritch Blast.
Uh okay. I suppose would like stumble and fall backwards if it's this like the
Mm-hmm.
shifting changing thing, can't get a quite good like read on it, so would be like, okay, away, that's how you survive, going away from things, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of stumble backwards, probably fall. Um, but just like observe for a while, intermittently just shooting Eldritch Blast, like
Mm-hmm.
I guess like into the water, like straight line, kind of like going this way.
Okay. Flies all the way across and strikes the wall on the other side. For a
Mm-hmm.
moment, it reveals another one of those creatures that you absolutely obliterated earlier. It scampers
Mm.
away with a hiss down the hall, down the passage.
Okay. Then the thing in the water was something different. Other unknown thing. But hmm. I think eventually Alex would realize I have to tackle, get past, understand, interact with this in some way, I think, because just staying here, these sensations, hunger, thirst, all of that are just continuing to grow. So those need to be dealt with in some way, I guess. Inch forward again towards the edge of the water. And hmm. How long would it take? I don't know here. Like how long would it take to realize that, oh yeah, water is something that I can ingest?
Again, there is a magical, supernatural compulsion to survive.
Yeah, okay.
The last act of dawn magic that you performed when you had more
That's true.
power in your grasp than ever before was the sheer will to survive.
Okay. With that in mind, it's probably would not like understand like a lot of these things I think will be just like doing things instinctually and not really understanding like why.
Mm-hmm.
But then like the brain will catch up afterwards to like, oh, that made, this effect or whatever. So we'll just like kind of instinctively eventually like reach into the water. Not know how to like scoop up water or anything, but just like reach hand into water and just like drink the like drippings of the water like off of
Mm-hmm.
his hand. Um and stuff like that, and
And
be
that
like, I feel
immediately
like this
feels
is right.
good. That immediately
Yeah.
feels correct.
And so I just keep doing that super inefficient way of drinking,
Mm-hmm.
but for a while until um probably for too much actually. It just it keeps it's good, so we keep doing it too much and probably like eventually
Mm-hmm.
like throws up water or something. Like it's just like drinks too much. Um but yeah. Now Alex knows water.
You've learned a new move.
But yeah, that process will
On your
Take a
last,
while.
as you're retching over the water, in darkness, because you're not Eldritch Blasting at the same time,
Yeah.
something moves once again around your leg, around both of your legs. It feels different. It feels like the water, but heavier, colder, stronger.
Oh. Well, I know what to do against those weird outside of ourself things. It would be to Eldritch Blast it initially, at least.
Okay, roll an attack, an Eldritch Blast, again with disadvantage.
Yep. Mm, 10.
Okay. As you reach down, you see that same green light being hurled up at you. But as soon as the two lights strike each other, again, the thing in the water breaks and bends and fluctuates and changes.
Hmm. So this thing, to understand correctly, the thing that is touching, wrapping around leg is not the same thing in the water?
Well, there's something
Or-
under the water, and then there's something you see. But that something that you see, I don't know if Alexander recognizes his reflection
Okay, okay. Yeah,
or knows what he looks
certainly,
like.
certainly not. Um, but it's, fuck yeah, I guess we'll just keep like just blasting the reflection for
Okay.
a
Well, that's
while.
good because the reflection is replaced by something, an impossibly dark pool of goo floods up from the waters below.
Oh.
Your Eldritch Blast strikes into it and does nothing.
Ooh. Okay, I guess we realized after a few things, it's like coming out of the water, you said?
Yeah, and it goes to seize you.
Okay.
You take 5
Ooh.
points of bludgeoning damage and 6 points of necrotic damage as it grabs you and starts pulling you in towards itself.
Oh boy. All right. It starts grabbing. Okay. Let's see. I think at this point, more so the things that are instinctual, not actually understanding, but would try to be like, okay, there's this innate sense that there is some other magic that is to be done and doesn't really understand what exactly he's doing, but would probably go to uh what does he have? It's been so long. um Command, and I suppose it would just try to command whatever this thing is to drop or like let go. Um, yeah.
It ignores you, incapable of understanding what it is that you're saying.
Okay. Mm-mm-mm.
You are restrained as you tell it to stop. Roll a strength saving throw, please.
All right. Oh, strength saves. These are great. 7.
As it's pulling towards you, you feel yourself getting closer and closer, maybe further and further, as you realize what is at the heart of this thing. It's nothing. It's going back to the way things have always been until just now. Endless nothingness lies at the heart of this pool of sludge. And you have failed one of your 3 saving throws to avoid being dragged back into the void.
Oh.
What do you do?
Oh, what the fuck? Uh, dragged back into the void. Oh, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. That doesn't do anything. This. Oh, interesting. I don't think it actually does anything there. Um, all right. More spells, more spells, more spells. Try
You,
to. Yeah, what's up?
a flickering spark of knowledge wells up within your mind from someplace impossibly distant, a place you used to be so familiar with. You either gain plus 1d4 on a knowledge check of some kind, or temporary proficiency in one skill. You also, whether you
Oh,
understand it or not, gain an immediate augury. And this can just be
okay.
knowledge welling up with inside your mind.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Proficiency in a skill, and this thing is what? Grappling, restraining?
You could take athletics or acrobatics if you don't have those.
Yeah, yeah. Would it be like an acrobatics check to try to break free?
I would allow that.
All right, I guess would to be like, okay, I think you would have this I thought that okay, maybe with magic can influence it at least in that way, but can still like physically like there's this husk of whatever I have going on here that I can use to also do things. So yeah, try to acrobatics. Out of it. 21. Plus 1 XP.
You gain 1 experience point. You also manage to
Nice.
pry yourself away, sliding backwards in the darkness, completely unable to see anything. Sorry, I moved you. You can go ahead and move yourself.
Oh, here you go.
And as you do, you become conscious of another sensation. This time, a feeling passing through the ground. Vibrations at a slow and steady pace. Roll a perception check with disadvantage, please.
Perception disadvantage 9.
9. Well, it's impossible not to notice that the thing in the water is still dragging itself closer to you. You can hear it.
Okay.
And something enormous is coming from this direction.
Something enormous. Okay.
Enormous.
That would that's perfect actually. Something enormous coming. The survival instinct Giga kicks in and having like backing away from this thing, probably like had stumbled backwards and is like kind of scurry away on like hands and knees, but backwards, like button hands, and feet, I suppose, but would cast invisibility on himself without really realizing what is happening. But like, okay, this things shouldn't be able to see me, I think, or something, but would invisibility himself
Okay.
and keep on slowly backing up. Probably like would have scrambled like all the way back into like this room, but then like yeah, invisibility and just like go up against a fucking wall or whatever. Just doesn't really understand like why exactly like this is going to work, but feels like deep down like this should be a good
Okay.
idea in the situation.
The thudding becomes louder. You hear something scraping against the walls, too big to properly fit. And then you hear an enormous rumbling voice. Probably the loudest thing you've heard since you got here. And it's not so much speaking as it's tearing holes in the air And the air that rushes in to fill those gaps is almost like a sound unto itself. And it is something that you don't know why you can understand.
Be gone. This one is not for you.
Oh, shit.
What do you do? The noise stops.
Ah, man. Okay, weird. Can understand this thing, and that's strange.
Mm-hmm.
Processing words, even. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
is it in a similar way to like how? Okay, how when he was in the void did like Sayush like speak with Alex?
Almost exactly like that, but not with
Okay.
such a big voice.
So it might be like even though most things, the vast majority of things are not recognizable, like that little bit might be able to be like recognizable.
This is
Okay.
something that you would actually understand. The words would make sense to you because that's the last way anybody communicated with you.
Yeah. Okay. In a relatively recent time frame, more recent than other things that have been way too long in the past. Oh, does that mean friend? Hmm. Uh, Interesting. Would Alex know how to speak in this language, even if not like actively, but like instinctually?
Yeah. Yeah. You too can tear holes in the air with your voice.
Oh, okay. Would probably after giving it a couple minutes to like wrap his head around the fact that okay, this is a recognizable thing. I think I can communicate similarly, but wouldn't know exactly what to say. Um, would probably just whatever like void speech word for it, just call out and probably very, very quietly, I think. Um, and it'd probably take a little bit to even get to like be able to say void speech as it's like intended to, but would say the word friend.
Why do you exist?
Oh god, hitting us with the real philosophical questions off the bat. Oh. I think actually it wouldn't take that long for Alex to respond to this, besides for just like the weirdness of okay, this voice is loud and whatever, processing that strange, but then would reply with to to end it.
Why do you persist?
I can be the one to end it.
What stopped you from not existing?
The cycle.
Another light appears up ahead. sort of floating. And it floats down the hall towards you. And then glows slightly brighter.
Look at whatever this thing is. I guess still invisible.
Mm-hmm.
This lasts up to an hour or whatever. Hasn't realized to like turn it off or anything, or that's even an option. But yeah, I would just observe this this light as it goes comes closer and grows brighter.
Come out.
Just would listen and take some steps towards it.
There's something really big down that hall, like crouching on hands and knees to fit. Their skin is a deep dark green, and burning into it with an unearthly green light are signs, words, symbols that you recognize, that you understand. They are erasure, they are entropy, they are undoing. You see a tumult of bright, pale white hair flowing down.
I guess after stepping out and observing this, kind of frown a little bit and call out, "What are you? Who?"
I am Anacra. And I keep Lyric's temple.
I think Alex takes a bit to stew on that because the name, having not heard in a very, very, very long time, and probably wouldn't be able to even place it. But would instead ask, "And what do you have to do with me?" Me.
I will see to it that you continue to survive.
Survive. Yes. I must.
Your body will grow weak. There is sustenance, water, and rest. And much work to be done.
I am prepared to do this work.
You are not, but you will be.
Just slowly nods. Doesn't even realize that he is, I don't think, but slowly nods to that. Just kind of like waits.
Come.
Takes some steps forward.
The
Low,
light,
kind of unsure, but
She is a giant.
Oh.
Her eyes glow with an unearthly, otherworldly light. Void glyphs are inscribed across her body. And as she sees you, she crawls and sort of just stuffs herself through this passageway. And at the end of the passage, you can see that pool of darkness, that void ooze that threatened to consume you, lurking back in the pool to which she commanded it.
Okay. Yes, mommy. I guess I'm on the way. I'm I'm following. Probably takes a look at that ooze and like, well, it doesn't really understand like exactly what had happened there.
Mhm.
It knows that, you know, they are what caused whatever, like that thing was harming him, now it is not because of them. Just like makes that mental connection, I suppose, trying to continue to practice making these mental connections while things don't make sense. Like there's still the inner workings of you know, his mind going on. Following. Probably still not super used to walking along, so like probably bumps into a bunch of shit like awkwardly. It looks like a actual dummy, but you know, keeps going. Oh, +1 XP.
You've just gained so much XP. This area is different. It's carved. It's smooth. There are floor panels. There are doors. The signs of hands at work. Maybe if the circumstances were different, I would tell you that this place was ancient.
Mm.
But that word has lost all meaning for you.
Yeah. Yep.
The staircase goes to the south. And as you get closer and it rises upwards, there's a new sensation. Something, it's been present this entire time, but as you get higher up, it gets stronger. This prickling across your skin, cold.
Mm.
It's very cold. And the sound of the wind howls outside.
Ooh, okay. Well, that's probably like very loud. Like his voice probably was like very loud, but like it's a different kind of loudness after like
Yep.
stumbling on the steps and being like, oh, the sensation, the coldness is like, okay, I guess we can get through this, but like still the noise of it is weird. So it probably like hangs on the steps, just like slowly trying to get more used to the different like levels of volume. Like takes one other step up and it's probably like so noticeable the change in volume, like with the wind. So like the climb up the steps just takes a sizable amount of time, but tries to like force himself to become accustomed to these sensations and senses, even if they're like uncomfortable, as long as like the little bit of understanding is there of like, okay, this isn't like killing me, this is something that I can coexist with. Be like, all right, that's all that I need to know, and yeah, continue forward.
And so you step out, not into the light. The light would be the wrong word. It is dark. It is night. Though that's just another word that perhaps has also lost all meaning. The wind whips past you, seizing warmth from your body as it goes. The air is thin, like your lungs are scrambling at the edge of a cliff to grab onto it. You're seeing new sights, new things that you've never seen before. But there are other lights, warmer lights, it's fire, whether you
Mhm.
recognize that or not. Banners, flags
Yeah.
flap in the wind that whips past this place. Pillars rise from an edifice worn by these winds, yet still standing after all this time. You are high, very high up on a mountain.
Mm.
Another thing that might be meaningless to you, but there's a lot of sensations, a lot of inputs to process all at once.
Yeah.
Kra stands, still guiding this little void light with gestures of her hands, towering above you in the wind, watching you, a dispassionate look on her face.
Mm. Alex stumbles out into the outside and it grows colder, grows louder, but again, these are feelings that he's going to have to get through one way or another. But then the other light, the warmer light that's intriguing, probably looks towards what's her name? Dakra?
The Kra.
Dakra. And walks forward, and I feel like there's a sense to walk past her, so would
Mm-hmm.
attempt to and look back to see if she makes any movements or any says anything, but if not, would go close to the light, the warmer light,
Mm-hmm.
and I suppose presumably experience that the cold doesn't feel as cold.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you can't not do it. Be like, oh, okay, get closer to it, and then like touches the fire.
Fire bad.
I definitely has to have one of those moments. I mean, it's
Mhm.
oh shit, I pull his hand back reflexively, and lets out a cry of pain, but kind of this instinct of probably a feeling of shame, I suppose. Kind of infiltrates Alex's mind. For better or for worse, but will instead just not look towards Dakra after that little display, and instead just gets like close enough to fire to warm, but not enough to burn. And just gets used to that sensation.
She
For a
speaks
while.
now with her own voice in a different language. Words of the common tongue, whether or not you recognize it. What is your name?
I don't know. I'm thinking actually Alex wouldn't really fully comprehend common at this point. It's been so long without hearing that, and just kind of like looks towards Dakra and just says in void speech, "What?"
As the words are torn from the air, the fire goes out.
Oh. Wasn't expecting that at all. So looks like after saying that and looks to the fire is very like surprised, but it's not that something that's like harming him, I suppose, even though it's colder now. The fire goes out, but still look towards Dakra after saying what?
Reality is fragile. Our words tear at its threads.
And then again in common. Actually, no, in Draconic. What is your name?
Okay. Huh.
Oh, and as she spoke those words in Void Tongue, this fire goes out.
Okay. As a little like demonstration. I mean that's probably good for Alex at this point. Like, okay, that's sends the point across. Draconic, another language that hasn't heard in so long. But assumes that they are saying these things for a reason, and I think after probably like racking his brain for a while would pick out I guess would pick out a word from it and loosely kind of understand that just asking for a name. Um I don't think he'd recognize his own name or know what it is offhand. Would just reply. Probably is not confident enough to like speak these languages right now, even though he was able to like pick up the one word, but would probably just like shake his head. And like look probably like visually confused.
Mm-hmm. She stares at you. Again, emotionless, unreadable, just completely flat affect. And then steps over you, boom, 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 to the steps of this enormous temple.
Mm-hmm. Probably follow.
Mm-hmm.
The last command that, remember is forgiving, so.
She steps up to the enormous doors. Doors that shine and reflect the light back. Doors inlaid in this shimmering material that catches it, and you can almost see a reflection in it. It's so brightly polished. And engraved into it a design of some enormous thing, creature. Whether you'd recognize a dragon or not is yet to be seen. Its wings outspread over the four kingdoms of Anacra, nestled within each other.
Well, glances at it. There's some kind of recognition, but isn't able to place it at this point.
The doors swing open with one powerful gesture from Dakra. And she waits.
I suppose Alex would walk in.
It's fairly dark in here. But you can tell that you're not alone. There's a low susurrus of noises, whispers, voices that scatter around throughout the darkness. And, there's a couple of candles. No, the candles would be extinguished. The candles would absolutely be extinguished. Footsteps, cloaks, cloth, rising, rubbing against itself. Faces that are not your own, emerging. Stepping forward. Some of them hobbling, shambling. the movements jerky and uneven. DeCross speaks again with those words that make you feel something instead of cutting a hole in what you feel. Words that don't yet make sense. You know she's speaking to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then she steps away. The new faces, two of them walk up towards you, one on either side.
Turn around and see her walk away, and then turn back around to these new things, beings.
They dip their heads in a strange way, and after a moment, they bring you, one of them bears an object, but it has more water in it. They offer it to you. The other one holds up a plate with things that you don't recognize, but you're starting to smell something, and your mouth begins to water, and your stomach growls, and your body is reacting.
Mm-hmm. But probably like recognize that, okay, they're like holding this bowl of something, water. We figured out water already. But then would like not realize, oh, mouth is only so big, and probably like dump like most of the water just like on him, but get a little bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the other stuff, and I think eventually, in his own weird way, finally remember that that's something also to ingest, and would start taking these things and just like shoving them into his mouth. Probably not understanding chewing is a thing, so probably like starts to like cough and choke on some of the food at some point before.
Do any of these people know the Heimlich maneuver?
Dies
no.
to choking. Damn,
no,
GG.
they do not. Oh man. Roll a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. Con save, but let's see here. I think this is a good opportunity for, oh, that feeling is bad. We need to not do that. So assuming that this will still work, Dark One's Own Luck.
It does.
All right. Would add a D10 to that, as this feeling you very quickly realize is bad.
This is one of the bad feelings. Okay, a 15.
Add 15 to it.
Somebody
Does that succeed?
Yeah, that succeeds. Somebody rushes at you from the darkness. Another face. Their cheeks sort of cracked with this darkness that is spread across and around their eyes, and they rush forward to seize you and squeeze you from behind. They got a 12 on their medicine check to perform the Heimlich maneuver. By this time, you're already okay. You're already safe.
Yeah,
but you are seized forcibly and squeezed forcibly from behind. What do you do?
I think like as like this was happening, he probably just like sticks some fingers like down his own like throat and probably like force himself to like throw this like stuff up, and so it's like it's vomiting this as the person's going behind reaching him, and so it just tries to like break free. It's like, no, I don't need this. I don't, get away from me. Like, isn't like actually, yeah, I mean, we'll just try to break free, I suppose.
Okay, you don't have to roll for that. It's after a moment of scrambling away, they'll let you go.
Okay. Like puts up a hand as if like motioning for like the Eldritch Blast, but like is processing that, oh, I don't think these things like mean him like harm or to kill him, so it doesn't do it. But assuming there's still more on the plate of edible stuff, take it and chew it, swallow, and go through that whole process very slowly, eyeing these three beings, especially the one that tried to put hands on him kind of suspiciously, but continue eating.
As
Oh, there's a bunch of them.
yes, more of them emerge from the darkness, almost entirely silent, just watching you.
That's strange. Strange.
If the water runs out, one of them goes to grab more. If it looks like you have eaten almost all the food, one of them runs into a side room and comes back with more.
Yeah. I don't think this process would take too long, but would like every time Alex is interacting with something, knows how to do it just a bit better the next time. So like would spill less of the water the next time, but drink it, but would think back to, oh yeah, before it was too much. So would stop after like, a couple of bowls for food, probably have like one more, and then be like, okay, that might be enough. There's not like the pain sensation, whatever that sensation was, before that he was experiencing, and so would at some point just like stop taking the water and food even if they brought more. Would just like shake his head.
At that point, they stop, and the one who grabbed you from behind gestures for you to follow, sort of does one of these. Is that a gesture you recognize and respond to?
Probably not immediately. Unless the other, but first would look behind. Like, are the doors still open?
Mm-hmm.
For this place. Would turn around. Would he see Dakra at all, or is she gone?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
You see her if you look far enough down, standing in the light of two lanterns that remain lit. Just standing with her back to you, her hair sort of moving slightly in the wind. Still, again, vaguely luminescent with those glowing green void tattoos.
Wouldn't recognize it. Know that she'd led him here. I think even with not having recognized like that gesture, I think curiosity is another kind of feeling that is innate to Alex's being, almost, even not like understanding it, just like process in the way of like there are more things to interact with and continue understanding. So would just like start to walk past, or not like responding to the follow, but would walk through this room and look at things. And
okay, it's freaking dark in this room.
Yeah. I think also at this point I would understand that there's some magic, there's something that can make this less dark, and essentially shoot some, like raise a hand and shoot some sparks out of his hand and cast like prestidigitation, but just for like illuminating the area enough to see a little bit.
Let me get you a little dancing lights and I'll let you drive this one.
Cool.
All right. Whoop.
Yeah, and just continue walking and just like prestidigitation sparks in front of him.
There is a stone statue at the far end of the room. It depicts a man, elderly, wizened, in an instructive sort of pose. And silver is inlaid in a scale pattern into the stone on this man. There are numerous candles here that have been extinguished for years, maybe centuries. Who knows? Who even knows what a candle is? I describe these things to Crowan, but what Alexander experiences may be entirely different.
Certainly is. Recognizes that is the thing that is objectively there, but doesn't really know quite like how to make heads or tails of it. for him, but does spend a few moments like regarding it so that people would see. Do that. And I guess that's this room. So if the person is starting to walk, would probably just follow out of curiosity.
Behind
still
the
setting out some
statue.
sparks.
Behind the statue, a staircase descends back down into the catacombs where you were not long ago. And the stranger opens the door and light pours out of whatever chamber lies beyond.
Do they make any motion to move? Or?
They gesture towards the door in a sweeping motion with both arms.
Okay. Yeah, would go forward. Go in this room.
I don't know that you know what a bed looks like, or
Certainly not.
a chest, or a desk, any of those things, a dresser. This is just a small bedroom off the side of the temple that has been the sheets, like it's all been made, it's all been cleaned, but there's no context for any of it.
I mean, would go in the room, like walk around, be like, okay, there's a small ass little dumbass room, and go to walk back outside of it, and see the person. Are they still standing there?
Yes.
Probably like a couple minutes. Would I guess would try to say in in void speech, would just ask what?
The light in the room, the torch just snuffs out. The one before you speaks back.
This is yours to rest and regain strength.
And as they speak, the dark lines and cracks across their face grow slightly wider, and a trickle of blood drips out of their nose.
Oh. Okay. All right. Alex will not make any indication that he, understood, but will walk back in there and has some kind of feeling of, the void erased the light out of this torch, but that the sparks and would, discovering the process of what prestidigitation does again, send sparks at it, no, it's not enough, but then would just use it to light a torch kind of effect, to try to relight it.
Cool. Whoosh.
Probably take a few minutes, more than a few minutes of figuring that out. So it's just shooting sparks at it. Wait, we can use this for other things. And I think understand that the intent is to stay in this room. Doesn't know for how long. Time is still a fucking weird thing, and I don't even think he's bothered by long amounts of time. So probably would just keep standing until the feeling of oh, legs are hurting, strange, and would sit down, and eventually out of just tiredness, I think would just, unless anyone comes in here or checks on him, would just from sitting just kind of pass out and fall asleep on the ground.
Okay. Right next to the bed. Yep.
Don't know what the fuck that is.
Okay. And sleep overcomes Alexander after longer than is worth thinking about. And what dreams he has. They make no sense. Impossible things. Towers of poetry. gardens of song,
Oh, fuck.
courtyards of crystalline hope. All of it alive, all of it radiant. 1,000 different minds creating it and shaping it and reshaping it and changing it. The exact opposite of everything that you've ever known, which is nothing. And at its heart, bravery, strength, and violence intertwined inextricably with beauty and ferocity and life. And all around it, as far as is possible to exist in every other direction, hungry, gnawing things, slamming themselves into this impossible city again and again and again, only to be scourged forth, cut down, driven back. And then it all changes. And there is fear. The strength, the violence is gone. The passion, the life is flickering. It has gone out. It no longer cares. There is no reason to care anymore. And maybe you could do something about it. Maybe you could help. Maybe you could replace what's been lost or step into that space that's been created. Maybe if you do that, by your light, this place will persist. But instead, you run. You don't do anything to help. You and the others with whom you are closest leave that empty light that has gone out. Leave the towers of rhyme and the bridges of sorrow, and leave all of it and flee impossibly far away. And the hungry infinite swarms over it, and that light is gone, and you let it go out. Sweet dreams.
Just normal dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Time is, well, unless there's anything you wanted to say or do.
No, not particular. I mean, falls asleep
Mhm.
after just kind of waiting, sitting, thinking after time, slips into that dream. Probably doesn't fucking like
Does that fucking mean anything?
remembers
No.
it. Yeah, remembers that those are like the things that happened in the dream, but really doesn't
Mhm.
like still has a weird like relationship with what the fuck things are. So like
Mm-hmm.
probably believes they really experienced that, honestly. But it doesn't fucking mean anything. And then I guess eventually, yeah, just wakes the fuck up, I presume. Probably very weirded out by, oh, experienced that, but back here, oh yeah, I was here however long ago. That's where they left me, the people in the other room, and like kind of tries to reorient himself, but be confused on like
Mhm.
how I just got from there to here, and just tries to wrap around that concept, and even like probably steps outside of the, like stands up, steps outside of the room, looks out, sees if the people are still there,
Mm-hmm.
goes back into the room and
They all
Bits
turn
again.
at once as you emerge. They don't say
Ooh.
anything, but they all turn to look at you.
So strange. Ah, okay, goes back into the room and just like sits and
A few moments later, the door opens. They have
looks to the door.
more water. They have more food. They will guide you to a place where you can relieve yourself. It's actually down in the crypts. They have a
Mhm.
privy.
Gotcha, yeah. We had to figure out all that mess and
Mm-hmm.
probably not very graciously at first, of course,
Mhm.
but you know, we get there after some time.
Mm-hmm.
And just doing a little bit better about eating food and consuming water.
Mm-hmm.
And I think would go to the front of the temple area. Are the doors closed at this point?
The doors are closed, and as you approach them,
Yeah, walk over
they
here.
move to bar them,
Oh.
just to physically interpose themselves between you and the door.
Hmm. Uh, in void speech, Alex would just ask, why?
You notice as you speak those words, the one closest to you twitches and a clump of their hair just falls out.
Oh, fuck.
The speaker behind you
The light is yet too strong. Wait.
Doesn't say anything, but absent, just kind of absentmindedly nods, walks back very slowly, turning around to look at the people barring the door very strangely. Doesn't understand what the fuck's going on, but will nothing's actually harming him and giving him the things that he needs to survive. So
if you go to walk downstairs, they don't stop you. They
Okay.
only block you from going out the front door, outside.
yeah, what? So it's the downstairs is just an extension of like where Alex like found themselves when they woke up.
If you go down these stairs right
Initially?
here,
Yeah.
if you go down these stairs right here, let me show you where you end up.
Cool.
Whoop. Boop. Do you want your light? Your flickering light?
Yeah, I ain't see shit. All right. Okay. That presumably leads up. Even though Alex wouldn't know that, but you know.
Mm-hmm. There's a door at the end of this hall.
Yeah, I guess he figured out doors kind of, and
Mhm.
awkwardly pushes and
Cool.
realizes if it has a fucking doorknob or some shit. Oh yeah, that's how that works.
It's a push instead of a pull.
Yeah.
DeCross
Cool.
stands in this
Yeah.
passageway, one of the few places where she can somewhat awkwardly fit.
Mm-hmm.
She turns to you, and her mouth makes the same noises they made yesterday in the common speech. Tell me your name.
Recognizes the word. Again. Tries to think about it. I think is probably in a little bit of downtime has thought about these concepts a lot because it's all that he really has to go off of in this
Mm-hmm.
new strange place, reality, whatever the fuck it is. And so it's thought about the concept of like, oh yeah, named something. I know their name. They are named something. I must be named something. Um. Hmm. Doesn't come to mind yet, though. It doesn't come to mind yet, though.
Mm.
And I think there is an augury on the table, right?
There is an augury on the table.
I think there's some kind of recognition that in not necessarily in the past, but some like because that wouldn't be a really feasible concept to understand, I don't think, but knows that there is some kind of other powers that is accessed through other things, other beings. There is some kind of conversation that was had before, but that's been, who knows how that'll go now. But the power that is kind of more so within himself is the augury to, I guess, ask the question, like, what is going to, and the way that he can understand it, but like what is going to happen, in the next 30 minutes or whatever, if it tries to contact any of these other things. And he means the Infernals, but doesn't really know like what that looks like or what that means. But yes, that is the augury.
Well, you get the absolutely most fun and most useful answer of all time. Wheel and woe.
Okay.
And we'll leave you all to stew on that while we go to our break. More Book of Dawn IOTH Academy when we return.